Hola a todos, mi nombre es Andy Rey, yo voy a estar siendo el host de este increíble panel en la Argentina Comic Con y hoy tenemos dos entrevistados de lujo que vienen de la mano de Cartoon Network. Vamos a estar entrevistando al showrunner, productor y al guionista de Escandalositos, que es una de las series que están rompiendo todo en el mundo de la animación de este momento. Y ahora sí, sin más, empezamos a charlar con ellos. Con ustedes, Calvin Wong y Mikey Heller. Hi guys, welcome to Argentina Comic Con. How are you?
Hello, really good.
Hello.
We're so excited to have you here. We're thrilled to have you here. I was just telling everyone how exciting it is to have a Cartoon Network panel. We are big fans of Cartoon Network, and we are great fans of We Baby Bears. So we're just thrilled to have you here. Have you guys ever been to Argentina in the past?
I have not been.
Never?
No, I'd love to though.
Wait, I thought Mikey, haven't you been? You've been somewhere in South America.
I went to Europe, very different part of the world.
Yeah, that's mixing you up with somebody. Yeah, somebody else on the team.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll be so excited to have you guys here. We actually interviewed in person Rebecca Sugar. She came here, I think, for Comic Con 2018. And we also had Owen Dennis in 2019 in person before the pandemic. So welcome. The show is huge here. We were great fans of We Bear Bears, and now since We Baby Bears premiered, the show is everywhere. So I wanted to ask you guys. We can start with Calvin. Why did you decide to get into animation in the first place?
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into how I got this career and how I ended up where I am, but I will say that I've always loved animation, but never thought it'd be a career for me until I realized all my skills work perfectly for this. Basically, I started off just doing indie comics on my own, and just drawing comics like black and white, little folded pamphlets for just me and my friends. And little did I know that is, being able to draw, write, and tell jokes and self-promotion are the key components to working in animation. So basically, I just JG Quintel regular show found out about my stuff, and I got hired from there. So it was just always in the air for me, I think. And I've always loved cartoons my entire life.
And also, aside from drawing and everything, I think it's also being yourself, right? Like expressing yourself through writing and drawing, And how was it for you, Mikey? Why did you decide to start working on animation?
My path kind of similar to Calvin. I always really loved animation and cartoons and would like to work in that space, but didn't really know how. And I was also just drawing comics and posting. And Daniel Chong, the creator of We Bear Bears, liked my stuff and asked for me to try writing. And so I was essentially plucked from obscurity as well. And it definitely feels like the right career path for me because it's the same thing. I love cartoons, I like jokes, I like stories, and everything that comes with it. So it's just kind of just the right place for me, I think.
That's cool. And how is it like, Calvin, to work on Cartoon Network Studios? You mentioned you started working on regular show, which is just an iconic show. How is it like to go to the studios and work on the studios?
Oh man, it's just incredible working at the studios. I'm at the studio now, but I turned on the space background because it's behind me. But it's like a really great place. I mean, you walk out the outside and there's like a column, a concrete column, and like there's a crack in it. And there's a plaque right on top of it that says, on this spot in the year 2000, Joseph Hanna-Barbera smashed a bottle there to christen the building. And then like I'm actually in my office. Like I said, it's very boring right now, but it's Gendy Tartakovsky's old office.
Wow.
So in the door jamb, I actually see little sketches that he drew. So I'm in awe still every time I look around and realize where I am. It's definitely a super creative and fun place.
Yeah, I mean, it's a studio that has almost 30 years of amazing talent.
Yeah.
You know, it's incredible. And Mikey, how did you react when you first found out? You were in the you if I get this correctly, you worked on We Bare Bears, but how did you react when there was going to be a spin-off of the show, and you know you were going to be a scriptwriter for it?
Yeah, I think it was at a time we were just finishing up the We Bare Bears movie. And we weren't really sure what we were doing next. We didn't know if we were done, if there was going to be more show. So we were mostly surprised just because it wasn't what we thought was going to happen. But we were all really psyched because we love the characters, and we really just wanted to keep going with the show in some form or another.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. And Calvin, you started in the regular show. You started as a script writer. You're a comedian. You draw. You do a little bit of everything. And now you moved on to being producer and showrunner. How was that change and transition for you?
It turns out it wasn't that bad. I definitely, when I started this job like 6 months ago, I definitely was pretty stressed. But with amazing people like Mikey and like just the people that all the management, all the leadership on the show is pretty easy to transition in. And I think like, you know, I'm a person who really likes to-do lists and just knocking out everything on a to-do list. And that's basically what being a showrunner is. You just get a big list every morning and then you go down it. So yeah, there's just something in me that I just like doing that. And I also think what I was mentioning before, my experience on regular show, you know, it wasn't even exactly script writing. We were drawing and writing the boards at the same time. So it was like the whole package. So, you know, I think I worked on like over 50 episodes of regular show. So like after that time, I think you get a really good sense of the rhythms of doing 11-minute cartoons and where, you know, act 1 should hit and where the stakes should be in act 2 and all that stuff. So yeah, just it came really naturally. And I think the show's like super funny and like has really amazing commentary in it, and that's thanks to Mikey and the writers. But it's such a smart show. I think like, I mean, regular show is smart, but I think this show is smarter, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think this show is very unique because, you know, it's comedy, but then there's also a lot of adventure going on. You know, it's a different flavor. To me, it's a completely different show from We Bare Bears. And I actually wanted to ask you, Mikey, how was it for you to transition writing for one show to the other? What do you think changed?
That's a good question, because just about everything changed. Because on We Bare Bears, it's a very grounded world. There are talking animals, but other than that, it's pretty much normal. And that was an outline-driven show. We would just write outlines, and then the board artists would take it from there. So for this show, we're writing scripts, so our kind of process changed, and just the world of the show works on a completely different reality. Things can be more cartoony, they can be more heightened. So there was a while where we had to shed a lot of old habits, where like one example is I needed a character to just hold up a telescope, but I was like, well, where'd this telescope come from? And then I realized, I guess he can just have the telescope and then we get rid of it. And just like realizing we could play it way differently was there was a bit of a learning curve there. But I think once we got into the groove, we figured it out.
Yeah, it's actually quite liberating to be way more cartoony than the original.
Yeah.
Game. Like you don't have to track items.
Yeah.
Like worry too much about getting one character to walk one place to the other. They can always smear, you know, like Yeah,
Yeah.
where they just almost warp.
Well,
Yeah, after for like
really
5 or so years of writing bears where everything is very logical and normal, it was really like, you mean they can act like cartoon characters? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Now
well,
we
that's
can.
all
It's great.
magic. So everything goes, right? I mean, every world is different. And yeah, that this is what I love about the show, that it's extremely surprising. You never know where are these three bears going to go next, what is going to happen. So to me, that's just amazing. I think you kept some aspects of the characters, but everything is it's just so much more adventurous right now, and kind of like anything goes. But the characters still have their unique personalities. How was it for you to rewrite or adapt the characters' DNAs or personalities now into their baby forms?
Yeah, it wasn't too hard. I think it was like, I mean, the elephant in the room is, okay, Ice Bear talks now, but but we needed to do that to carry these stories, because I mean that was the biggest difference. But otherwise, I think we have all their core personality traits in these baby versions, and they're really strong. They were always really strong. Like Daniel Chong painted these characters' personalities so strongly that it wasn't that bad to transfer them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Mikey, is there any particular bear that you find more challenging to write for?
At this point, I mean, I've been writing for these bears in some form or another for like 7 years, so no, they feel like real people to me. I think at first, Ice Bear was the hardest when I first started years ago. But he operates very differently than the other bears, and honestly, the hardest part is explaining that to other people. You start to feel like Ice Bear because his thing is he doesn't externalize, and he has conditions he likes to operate in, and it's hard to explain that to people.
It's like really satisfying when we get a really good Ice Bear script in, because
and that took a long time to figure out at first.
Yeah, and I actually remember, like, if you're not familiar with like the characters, I remember, I don't know, it was some sort of, I don't know, PR meeting or something, and they saw Ice Bear, and he had a straight line for a mouth, and they're like, hey, we should put a smile on him, and I was just like, no, never. No. Yeah, like, and it's kind of like, we have some episodes coming up where we really dive deep into Ice Bear, and like that, the way he is, how quiet he is, how like diverse he is like a really good thing, like a really cool thing about his character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually an episode, I believe it's called the Meat House, where we actually do get to see. You said we dig deep on polar bear's personality, but we do get to see kind of like a flashback. I think it's from Grizzly's early days where his mom abandons him. Are we gonna get to learn more about the characters' first dates and why were they abandoned and everything?
That's a good question. Yeah,
there were certainly like origin stories for the baby bears in the original We Bear Bears, and we showed how where they all came from and eventually how their paths crossed. But with this show, since this is kind of a new take on those characters, we're going to assume that their origins are going to play out pretty differently. So yeah, I think that'll be something we'll explore at some point, just because we have a new chance to kind of do a new spin in this world with all three.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. And I think that's something that the bears share. They have very distinctive personalities, but then their bond, that their relationship between them, it's just amazing and so well constructed throughout the episodes. How do you build such a strong relationship, which is kind of hard to see in animation these days, but also without losing, like we mentioned at the beginning, the adventures and the rhythm of each episode and everything. How do you guys start to build this relationship between them?
I mean, we just write episodes where the stakes are like, emotional, and they come from a place, an emotion, jealousy, pride, stuff like that. And then the bears kind of fall in line with how they would act there. It's really great to have characters just defined so well that if you write a script where Grizz does something stupid, you know exactly how the other bears would pretty much act,
Yeah. The three of them definitely just fit together like a little puzzle pieces. So we'll have an idea for a story and we'll be like, well, Panda wouldn't do that, but Grizz would do that. And I think that familiarity comes off, even if you've seen one episode once, you kind of get immediately these three have a dynamic together and individually. And I think that's just in the construction of the show from day one. I think that's what we're benefiting from for sure.
Yeah. And something that's really awesome about the story that you guys are constructing, and I was rewatching season 1 to prepare for the interview, and I said, well, every episode, like I said, it's the relationship between them is super deep, and each world is different and unique. But then also the message behind the episodes, it's always so empowering. It's like, trust yourself, or trust your friends, or know who you are, or be loyal to that thing that you think represents you. How important is that message to you guys when you're thinking about episodes?
Oh yeah, so important. I mean, that's like such a great message to give to not only kids but adults. So, and I think it's great to be able to tell those stories about being yourself and a community, and your chosen family. That's kind of a theme, especially in Panda's family. Panda's not blood related to Ice Bear or Grizz, but that bond is stronger than meeting some random family members.
Yeah.
With, being evil, spoiler alert. But like, but yeah, I mean, I love the messages in this show. They're very. I mean, it's weird when you're working in kids TV. It really is like, oh yeah, you're a little bit of a teacher too. You're trying to teach really good values to kids.
Yeah, and then every episode, it's kind of like we said, it's a different world. But I also was looking at it, and I'm like, every episode is kind of like a different movie genre, because then there's kind of like the fairy tale episode, the pirates episode, there's even like a whodunit with ghosts episode. Do you guys do that deliberately, where each episode is a different genre? Do you just want to have fun and try them all? Like, how do you guys come up
I think one of the biggest challenges with finding a new world is just that, after having to think of a new world every episode, but leaning into other things to make that world distinct can always help, and genre, and playing with tropes and subverting them. That's always going to be a helpful thing to do. So it's a great way to generate stories and settings.
And was there a particular episode or genre that was hard for you guys to develop or come up with? Did you struggle with any of those?
I mean, any that we struggle, we usually just abandon and move on.
That's good. And guys, the show, we spoke about the structure and the humor and the character development, but the show visually, it's just from another planet. It's so cute. It's so impactful visually. Where did you drew inspiration to develop such a cute it's just great to see, like, where did you guys draw inspiration to develop this world and this look?
Well, I think Manny was pulling from all sorts of influences when he was developing the spin-off initially, including like Miyazaki movies or kind of old school anime shows. But then I think when our art director came on, Valerie Schwartz, she really like kicked it up a notch. And I think we have just an incredible team of designers and artists. Like at this point, it's just like everyone throwing their best ideas in.
Yeah, because everyone has an encyclopedic knowledge of anime and One Piece and like Pokemon, and we're just putting all that stuff in a big, melting pot. It comes out as bears. It's great.
Yeah, and then it's also so cute and so kawaii. You guys mentioned anime, so I'm saying like it's very like it gives me that vibe. And are you guys fans of any particular animes or?
Yeah, I mean, like I like a lot of different types of anime. Like, I think, I like all the really old classics like Akira and stuff like that. Cowboy Bebop. I think it's funny actually. People they put me on the spot my first day. Like, what's your favorite anime? And I said Cowboy Bebop because it's amazing. It's got comedy and action.
It's a classic. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's an amazing show.
And like as a result, like I spent a lot of time in regular show land where we didn't really watch a lot of anime. So it's been really great going on this crew and rediscovering like how amazing anime is, like revisiting Pokemon and I've been watching a lot of Lupin the Third recently, the TV show. It's I think what is great about anime is how much they cheated in animation. Like they would cut frames and stuff like that, and I think it's so inspiring because it really shows you what animation is good for as a medium. I mean, like a lot of animated sitcoms are just like, why isn't this just like live action? But when you watch an anime, it's like, oh, this is using every tool at your disposal for just moving images, So, yeah, I love it. Mikey, you have any favorite animes?
I also hadn't watched a ton of anime until I worked on Bears. What's funny is I think even Daniel Chong he liked some, but then he hired a whole crew of diehard anime fans, and it became such a huge piece of the DNA of the show. And even more so in the spin-off. So I feel like I've watched it a ton, just like in meetings and stuff. It's really fun.
Yeah,
it is. And you, Calvin, you were mentioning how creative anime is because they design the characters and the backgrounds and everything in a certain way to make everything as expressive as possible with like the minimum elements. That's what I like the most, like how creative and resourceful they are, especially if you look at the old animes from back in in the day. And I wanted to ask you, Mikey, I know you're also a comedian, and comedy of course is a big part of the show. How do you become a comedian? How do you get funny? Like, is there something you can work on, like to find humor in yourself? Because there's a lot of people watching that they want to become animators or they want to become script writers, and comedy is particularly challenging because there's something about timing, and everything. So how do you get funny? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, all those elements like timing or different like functional aspects of comedy can be totally learned. But I think anyone who wants to get into related fields like the arts or animation or writing wants to express themselves creatively, and humor is always going to be part of that expression. So I think the most important thing for anyone who wants to get involved in comedy is their personal sense of humor. So whatever you personally find funny, no matter, even if it makes no one else laugh, like that's going to be the most important part. And all those other parts you can learn, they're just like rules or guidelines, but nothing strict. So as long as you're going with your gut. Some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen are like board artists adding in the weirdest joke, clearly the recesses of their brain, and you can just feel that they think it's so funny, and it infects you. So that's always the way to go. Just trust your gut.
That's so cool. Well, we were talking about trusting yourself being one of the messages behind We Baby Bears. So it's great for everyone watching. It's a great advice. And Calvin, before we were also talking about the visual aspects of the show, how cute it was, how wide it was. But then something really cute about the show is the voice talent. They sound amazingly cute and they're just the best. And I was doing some research and I found out that you guys are actually working with real kids to do the voice characters. How was the casting process and how challenging was it to work with kids?
Yeah. So yeah, basically, I think when this show was first pitched, I heard from Manny that he initially wanted adult actors doing children's voices, and I think that the reason was because it's just easier to control that. But what you're missing is like that sense of authenticity, like sometimes stuff that isn't even funny if an adult says it is so funny when a kid says it. I think, there's a lot of, kind of wordier stuff that sounds funny when a kid says it. I think so then the decision was made that, no, we should try real kids and see how that works. And yeah, we found Connor, Amari, and Max, and they're all like friggin' amazing. Like they put their whole heart into this show, and it's just like it does. Sometimes it can take a little longer than recording an adult, but they're people too. They got as much heart as the adults. So and the extra effort is totally worth it. I mean, I love it. Like they're just little geniuses, pretty much.
That's great. To me, it was amazing when I found out about it. Like, I was watching the show. Like sometimes we watch it dubbed, so there's a different voice. But I watched it in English, and I was like, are these real kids? Because they're just if they are amazing, and if they are adults, they're really good at doing a kid voice. So I looked through the credits and I found that out, and it's just great.
In Spanish, are they dubbed by kids also?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
And guys, I wanted to ask you, on each world that the baby bears travel to in their search for a home, they come across other amazing characters, that accompany them in their adventure. I'm a personal fan of Pirate Polly. Are we going to get to see them again? Are they, are they coming back? Because some characters are just hilarious,
Well, yeah, we're gonna see more of Squatter Otter. We're gonna see more of Polly. We're gonna see more of Unica. Unica is my personal favorite. She's because that episode is so good. I wasn't here when it was written, but yeah, props to Mikey for putting that message of you can have a good heart, but also be a weird micromanager that can't get anything done because you overthink everything. And I relate so hard to that character. I relate so hard to Unica. So we're definitely going to see more of our favorites.
Cool. And Mikey, I wanted to ask you. I was watching the show, and I saw many Easter eggs from We Bears. It's kind of like hidden throughout the backgrounds and everywhere. I think the one that first comes to my mind is I think it's on the Mayor Bear episode. There's We Bear toys in the ocean, like in a pile of like junk. How do you guys come up with these ideas, and are there any Easter eggs hidden that you guys can tell us so the fans watching can go back to the episodes and search for them?
Yeah, I know there's a handful in Boo Dunnit as well. But actually, I don't think we never write those in. That's the board artists or the design team put those in. It's like their little treat. And putting those kind of in the background. I always feel like we should just focus on the show and hint and make sure this is its own world. But I'm also kind of cool with when it gets to someone else's hands, them kind of doing what they want to do with it, and it's always really fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to think in that first 20 if there's any that. I mean, I know there's some coming up.
They're so hidden, we don't even know.
Yeah, and those are the ones in the top of my mind right now, but we can't talk about them. So, like, look for the We Bear Bears Easter eggs in the coming up episodes. I can't remember.
Well, we can tell everyone what, like, expecting the new episodes to pay attention, because there are going to be some surprises in the background. Yeah. So, stay tuned. And
there's one episode.
We'll see what you can find.
There's one episode coming up where I was like spotting like 10, 15 like Bears references like in every shot. So without getting too much into specifics, but I mean, like Mikey said, it's funny because sometimes the art department puts that in because they're like, we can reuse these props, just put it in. So sometimes it's out of fun and sometimes it's just out of practicality.
That's so cool. And then something that I wanted to ask you guys is about the show intro and the show theme, because there's a collaboration with a huge K-pop band, which is Tribe, and a lot of Comic-Con fans are also fans of K-pop. How did you guys feel when you knew you were going to do, the opening song with, a band that's, so popular right now? Are you fans of K-pop? How did you react when you knew this was going to happen?
K-pop's always been in the blood of We Bear Bears. I mean, on We Bear Bears, we had Monster X?
Monster X, they were in an episode, and that episode blew up. and they listen to K-pop. It features a lot in the show, so when they mentioned getting a K-pop kind of song for the theme, I was like, oh, of course, that makes 100% sense.
Same. I was just like, this is the coolest thing. I love that song. It's so catchy. It's just an earworm.
It's amazing. And I was watching the video clip of the band interacting with the bears, and this like
I mean, I always loved K-pop, but I think my favorites are a little older. I haven't really kept up so much, but of course BTS is amazing. But I think the first K-pop band I was really into was 2NE1, but I think they just reunited at Coachella, but they were so cool, but I definitely love that K-pop is huge now, because I know Koreans have been waiting for it to get really big. I think in the 90s is when K-pop tried to start being a thing, and then Gangnam Style happened, and then just,
And then the explosion, right? Cool. And guys, I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite episode so far?
Okay. Well, one pops into my mind, and that's Unica. I really love that one a lot. Just because of the reasons I said before. The message is so unique. And, the villain in it just makes me laugh every single time. Rexford, voiced by Stephen Root. He's just, this bumbling guy. I think, when we're coming up with the music for that one, I was saying, Rexford's evil, but he's also a clown, and think about that as we're composing the music for it. So I think that one has all the elements for me. It has a lot of heart too. I think the scene where Unica finally can use her horn powers and make the whole forest come back to life, I think it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, along with the music and stuff. So for me, that episode is a full package. It's got comedy, it's got heart, it's got Willow Smith, it's got
Went overboard on that one. It is beautiful. And how about you, Mikey? You have a favorite episode?
I also really like Unica just because she's one of my favorite characters on the show. She'll show up some more, and Chris Mackay wrote that episode and really brought that character to life. And we'd only been talking about her for so long. But my other favorite is Meat House because it is so weird. It's very strange. It has like
so it's in my list of favorite ones.
I mean, there's a couple others. I mean, if you want to keep going, like.
Oh no! I just really love that but I also love it because, at the core, it's about Panda feeling excluded, and and that's such a relatable problem, especially when you're a kid, just kind of feeling like your group, you're not really part of it anymore, and casting doubt on yourself, and then we reverse it, and it's just, and then the art direction of it is just. Off the walls. So it's fun that it's like such an extreme idea, but then also the core of it is so wholesome and good. So I really love that episode.
I also shout out to Bears in the Dark. I really love that.
Oh yeah,
so stylish, and the conceit of the words popping up and the sound effects pop on the screen is just like so cool. And
yeah, one of our board artists came up with that idea, Chris Stanton. They there was just like a drawing, and we all knew this has to be a whole episode.
Yeah, I love that one. That one's almost like flexing, like how cool the style can be on the show, and I feel that in that one. I really like that one.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. And I also wanted to ask you guys, what can we without giving any spoilers, of course, but what can we expect for the future of We Baby Bears?
Mikey.
Well, there's plenty more to see. We're working on season 2, so I don't think there's a ton we can reveal, but I will say the episodes we're working on now, they're like my favorite episodes, and if you like the show now, you will love the show even more later, because it really starts to lean into the parts that make it so unique and special. And I'm very proud of what we're working on now.
Yeah, and then look for a lot of familiar faces too from season 1.
No, that's great. I'm waiting for that. Guys, and a lot of people that are actually watching this panel right now are huge fans of We Baby Bears. Is there something that you would like to tell them, say to them?
Thanks for watching the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I mean.